Hey everyone, welcome back to Go Kick Me, your favorite crowdfunding news and reviews channel here on YouTube. So, try to do this one quick. We have a Kickstarter called Pivo. Get insanely creative GIFs, photos, and videos. Sensationalize your smartphone photography with a genius little pod 360, yada yada yada. Bunch of features. Okay, so this thing is actually kind of blowing up. It's only been listed for like 2 days. Already well over double its goal. 500 something backers. Almost 2 months to go. And what is it? Well, it's like a camera mount that is smart. So it's, if you guys are familiar with like an egg timer, whether it's actually an egg timer or not, is basically like a swivel mount that you can use on your camera to do like time-lapse panning shots. So, you know, if you're doing like a time-lapse shot instead of having stationary, you can have it mounted on this thing, which literally works like an egg timer. Either it is an egg timer that you put a camera mount on, or it's a similar type device, whatever they call it, like motion-controlled pan and tilt, or in this case, just pan type device. So this one is actually more than that. It is able to like do not just like stuff for slow motion, but it can actually do like tracking. And so if you've ever used like a 3-axis gimbal, like one of these guys from either DJI or this one is from Juryun. I actually have one of these guys. I have one of these actually. They actually are very similar. In this case, it's a 3-axis pan, tilt, and whatever, rotate stabilizer, but it's also motion controlled. So in other words, you can mount this thing on a tripod and you can have it, you know, do motion control, like, okay, go from here to here, or do time lapse, or shoot a panorama, etc. So in fact, this thing and this thing are very similar, except this one does 1-axis only, and these ones do 3-axis, right? So I hope I'm not getting too abstract for you non-camera lover people. Anyway, so that's cool. This is a simple one. Where can you use it? So the video on this is actually quite like well done. It goes on and actually a lot of detail.
In tech speak, it's a smart interactive pod for your smartphone photography. In plain English,
A smart
it's just
interactive
an
pod.
awesome turning awesomeness.
So it's basically like a motion control turntable with a camera mount for specifically made for smartphones. Although you can use it for, say, GoPros.
It's not going to make your life better, but it is going to let you be insanely creative with your photos and videos. Here's how. Pivo can follow you as you move.
One of the things is, like, if you see some of these clips, like, the thing is actually rocking, it's not super stable.
It's not going to make your life better, but it is going to let you be insanely creative with your photos and videos.
Like, okay, maybe because she was touching it, but I'm not exactly inspired. So they go through, like, all these different cases. You can have it, like, follow you around when you're walking, because it can basically recognize people in shots. It can do, like, tracking. You can do all these different modes, like have 2 people and have it pan back and forth between them, and it's almost like made to do these kind of gimmicky story things for Instagram. Like literally, like what they keep showing, right?
Then you got kiss feet.
Yo, whatever.
It's like
But also for this.
I'm here with my boo.
designed for
That
campy,
guy.
What guy?
campy shit like that. And then it can do this like multi-photo mode. So I forgot what that's actually called. Like this has actually been around. Like you could do this in Photoshop for a long time, but now it's sort of there's apps for that. It can do panoramas, etc., etc., etc. So all kinds of fun stuff it can do. It's basically like a 360 camera in that respect. So it can do split screens. It can do 360 sort of pseudo 360 images. You can actually put it in like turntable mode. So you actually just put this little platter on top, and it just, you know, rotates things like in a showroom type thing, which is good if you're doing like product shots, or I don't know what the fuck that guy's doing. You can do remote control. You can do this and that. So yeah, it does a lot. But one of the key things to note is, you know, the pod. This thing is actually super simple. All it is like a, you know, it's like a turntable, right? Electronically controlled. And so what they do is they have a Bluetooth radio or whatever in this thing, and the smartphone app is actually what's doing everything, right? So they developed an app that can do the little turn here and take a shot, and then turn there and take a shot, or can recognize objects moving around the space in the field of view and then pan to follow it, right? So, in fact, like I said, that's exactly what those 3-axis gimbals do too. On my journey, you can select something and have it follow it around. So like if you're trying to follow someone in a shot, it can automatically sort of keep them in frame. Like let's say you're doing some extreme sports and you're on your skateboard and you're watching where you're skating, and you want to make sure this thing is always following the guy who's your object or whatever. You can just have it sort of set and forget. So this thing can do something similar. You can use it for live streaming. You can use it for whatever, right? All this other fancy stuff, right? Face follow, object tracking, live streaming even. It's got some built-in live streaming capabilities. You can use it with the GoPro. With the GoPro, there's actually 2 ways of doing it. You can either just use it with the remote and put the GoPro directly on here. You can still have your phone on there and then also have the GoPro on top of that, so that the face following stuff works through the phone, and then that just happens. The GoPro is also pointing in the same direction, right? Because you can't have the GoPro image offload into your phone in real time and have the phone not mounted there. I guess that would be kind of a cool thing if it could do that. Just use your phone's brain and interactive screen, but not have to mount it. Anyway, so yeah, it looks cool, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things I have with this is I don't have anything against the idea. I think it's actually pretty smart. Like in lots of cases, you just need a single axis. You don't need a 3-axis thing, right? It's good for, whatever, webcasters, etc. People doing live events who are sort of trying to immerse people, want to be able to rotate around, want to be able to walk through a space while they're doing, say, YouTube videos by themselves. I think I've mentioned this before on this channel. Why do they have all these weird people with weird tattoos? Like, this girl's quite attractive, and then I see this nasty tattoo on her arm, and I'm like, eh. All those hipster guys, especially the guys, they always have some hipster dude with full sleeve tattoos, which, I don't know. I guess that's an audience, that's a demographic you want to appeal to, is tattoos or people who wish they had tattoos. But yeah, for me, not really a bonus. This guy, for example. No, this is not the Where's the other guy? Where's the dudes doing the rap battle? They had tattoos. Anyhow, so yeah, it just keeps going and going and going. Here's the add-ons. So the campaign itself is pretty well done. They've got all kinds of information. The product itself seems to be reasonably well designed. It's got your tripod mount. It's got the little built-in little feet here, etc., etc. And it's got the remote control, and it's got a little carrying case, and they've got all the details you need. So I can't really fault it too much. The only thing I can say is I don't think these are the first guys who've done this, right? Because I can recall seeing something similar elsewhere. I just can't find it exactly. So I tried to look online to see if I could find a 1-axis gimbal with smartphone app type thing. Oh, by the way, before I skip ahead, $69 for the early bird. You can still get one if you act quickly. At that price, that's actually pretty good. Comes with the remote control, etc., all that stuff. $79 for the regular one, I guess. You're not going to get it till basically Q2 2019 at the earliest. That's one of the issues, right? But anyway, so I tried to see if there's any alternatives, and of course, obviously this is one alternative. The actual full-fledged three-axis one. You just mount this on a tripod, and you're actually, aside from the fact it's kind of bulky or a little unstable, if it's on a real tripod, it's actually better than the other one, right? Because then it can follow you up and down as well. So there's these options. These things aren't super cheap, but they're also not crazy. Like this one, I think you can get it for $100 or something, right? Not that much cheaper than the $80 full price. And you can also get it today or tomorrow. Then there's these, if you just want to do the time-lapse stuff, you just want to do the really simple things, you can get one of these guys, which can go from left to right or right to left. It can do different speeds, etc. But this doesn't follow you or anything like that, right? But it's $25 plus shipping, right? So not too bad. Mounts, all that other kind of stuff. So for some people, this is actually enough, right? Some people who still use an iPhone 5, it's definitely enough. Then there's this one, which is actually a remote control pan. I think this one tilts too. Does it tilt? 3D rotation. Oh, maybe just rotates. Okay. So yeah, just rotates. Doesn't tilt, but it pans, and it's got a little remote control. Obviously, this remote control is not going to be super awesome. It can't follow you back and forth. You can only do it by hand. But hey, you can do GoPro. You got the little feet. So like technology-wise, this thing is actually basically identical. Anything that thing can do, this thing can do, except this thing doesn't talk to a smartphone app. So those guys, their main claim to fame or their main value add is they took one of these things and they said, well, using the remote is fine if you want to do that, but we'll also give you a smartphone app, which can then unlock the smarts of the thing, right? So in other words, it can now, the phone can tell this thing where to pan and tilt, so it can keep things in place. It can, do whatever, right? It can do the stupid animated GIF, gimmicky motion things. And if you check out on the rest of Amazon, you'll find tons and tons of different options for either smart ones or not smart ones, or remote control ones or automatic ones. But yeah, some of these are like pretty cheap, right? So $44. This one, I don't know why the fuck it's $60, but it is, right? Some of these other ones, $37. That looks pretty cool, right? So let's keep looking. What else we got? Here's the pricing on the Dream, by the way. This is their new version, $140, because it's fancier. It's got like this, whatever, pan tilt wheels and who knows what. But yeah, that's the kind of options they have. They have the older one, the Smooth 4, only $120. The Smooth Q they don't list anymore. I guess they discontinued it, but it's probably even less. I don't remember paying that much for it when I got it like 2 years ago. Lots of other options if you just search for like one-axis gimbal. In some cases this is just like for rotating things. Some cases like for really pro-ass shit. Anyway, keep looking. There's some stuff like this. These ones are generally made for like stabilization. Like if you put on a selfie stick and you don't want your selfie stick to rotate back and forth like this can just rotate that axis, so not quite the same single axis. Yeah, like this kind of thing. I don't know if they have an example, but basically, yeah, it's like if you're doing your selfie, it can keep you level. There's this guy too, which I think is here. No, not this guy. This guy, not this guy. This guy. So this one does panning and tilting with a remote control. This guy does panning and tilting. This is like 2 of the 3 axes of the, it's basically pan and tilt of the 3-axis gimbal, except mounted on like an egg timer here or whatever, right? That's basically remote control, and you got some buttons on there. So that's actually not too bad. One of the issues with this is, it's sort of size limiting, right? Just like the 3-axis gimbal. You can't put a tripod on this thing. A tablet on this thing. Especially not if it's on a tripod. So there's lots of these options, different shapes, different sizes, different prices. So this one is, as cheap as the other one, except you can get it, today. And you can actually see reviews from people who have actually tried it. So some people says, yeah, it works good. Some people say it's too weak. Some people says it doesn't work with my tablet. Well, why would you get that one with a tablet, right? A little bit noisy, but no problem for me. So yeah, here's a viable option. Doesn't do all the app shit, but the rest of it actually does. So anyway, there's lots of, maybe they'll come up with an app later too. Lots of options. Here's like 5 ones sort of for people doing the time-lapse stuff, etc., etc. So anyway, what is my verdict? I haven't even been watching this thing, right? What's my verdict on this one? They're pretty good answering questions. Like I said, the video is well done. This guy is being a bit dense, by the way. I'm surprised no one's answered him yet. But basically, like, kind of can't go wrong if it's the lower price. If you get it on the early bird, I would say, yeah, like the app features alone plus the hardware integration, it's worth $70, right? If you can think of a use for that, like if you're just looking for random ways to make cool animated stories on your Instagram. I don't think this is like, it'll give you some gimmick for a day or two, and then you'll end up not using it anymore. But if you're like whatever live streaming or something like that, yeah, okay, you want to take stupid pictures like this, not so bad. 79, the add-ons don't really do it for me. The stupid names on the apps, features, okay, whatever, right? So anyhow, that's it for today. I'm going to say Pivo, early bird, thumbs up, not early bird, thumbs slightly down. Okay, so that's it for today. As I said, I'm repeating myself. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at GoKickMe and also GoKickMedia.com. Okay, later. Bye.